Hey guys, Drifter here. I've got a health update for you, and welcome to the Danger Zone, which is not what I've nicknamed my stream room, but rather it's the health region that I'm currently in. The short version is that things are going rough, but I'm currently on track for a cure perhaps later this year. Let's do a quick recap before we jump into what's going on today. This past winter, I experienced a variety of painful, debilitating, and ultimately bizarre health symptoms. I had hypothermia, where my body would suddenly go incredibly cold, measured hypothermia. My internal temperature would drop, at least according to the thermometer. I had a variety of nerve pain in my shoulders and hands and feet. I had muscle wasting. I had joint instability. I had hypoglycemia, inability to eat, difficulty eating, nausea, mental confusion, including extreme anxiety or fear that felt like an impending sense of doom, like the worst panic attack you could possibly imagine. The medical community here in Dallas initially kind of blew this off as just being stress. Now, previously I had issues with low testosterone, and that doesn't really explain all of this, and especially when I told my doctors I just got done with an entire year of harassment and people trying to take my life or hurt my wife or something like that. They're like, oh, stress does all sorts of things. You're just stressed out. Just go home and relax. It's not a problem. And I must have went through like 12, 13 doctors, but thankfully I got in touch with more plates, more dates, and I had some subscribers of mine who are also doctors reach out to me and basically told me that I absolutely have to get a pituitary MRI given that I already have low testosterone. As it turns out, more plates, more dates, and my sub-doctors were right, and I have a pituitary tumor up here, which is technically a brain tumor or a little piece of cancer that sits on a very important gland in my head that controls a whole lot of things about my body. Thankfully, it's an incredibly small pituitary tumor, and if you were going to get a type of cancer, this is probably the type that you would want to get. It's so small, in fact, that it doesn't really explain very many, if any, of the symptoms I'm experiencing, nor does it explain my low testosterone results, which are much lower than, well, really anything that most doctors have ever seen, and definitely way too low for such a really tiny tumor, and I want to emphasize that it's really not that big. So I have a problem that I have symptoms that don't match lab results, and I have an MRI that doesn't match symptoms, and the symptoms and the lab results don't match each other. So I have three pieces of this puzzle and none of them are matching. And I had a very frustrating time with doctors, but thankfully I found a doctor who viewed this as sort of a fun puzzle to solve. University researcher kind of guy, almost got this anime villain vibe going on, but very excited, like, oh my God, there's something new medical. I want to figure this out. And we came up with a plan. The plan is pretty simple to test before and after and see what's going on. So I ran a whole bunch of tests, mostly blood work and stuff. And then I have to get off of all of my medication, which stabilizes me and keeps my testosterone and hormones normal. Even though we don't know why it's working, it does. But I have to quit all of that for 6 to 8 weeks, force me to go symptomatic, be in pain and suffer, and then they can study me then and identify what's going wrong when it's going wrong. I guess you have to be in the danger zone to get the good data, right? So that's the TLDR, and now we're caught up to now where I've been trying to follow that plan, because once we get the good data, once we figured out what's actually going wrong with my body, what's causing my hormone issues, then there can be a treatment plan or a strategy or something that I can do, change a lifestyle change maybe if that's necessary. So what I ended up doing is I did a month of tapering off of all of my medications that keep me stable, and I'm currently on week number 5, going on week number 6 of no medication at all. And I'm getting more symptomatic by the day. So roughly for the last 6 weeks or so, I've had no testosterone boosting medications, no endocannabinoids, which for me, I was using CBD for pain. I wouldn't even rub the oil on the joints anymore. Nothing that even resembles a medication, no aspirin, no ibuprofen, no painkillers, no little this, no something of that, just completely none of that. No caffeine, no alcohol, and no supplements. I didn't have any of those before. A lot of you were very interested in helping me last time. I want to thank you for all the kind emails, but supplements and weird side effects of supplements was something I never had a problem with because I don't really take those. I've been doing modified exercises 5 days a week. It's a little more cardio intense and a little less weightlifting since I can't really build muscle, but I'm maintaining an active, healthy lifestyle. I've got a good sleep schedule, and I even signed up to have a psychologist measure my mental state once a week to make sure there's not any mental deterioration or not significant deterioration through this process. So I'm basically living my best life. I am working out, I am eating clean, I am sleeping well, living clean with no meds, and doing my best. And for most people, this would mean that you'd be really healthy and you'd be feeling great. But in my case, it's all caught up to me, mostly the consequences of not having the medication. And this time has been different than last time, actually. So the last time that this problem occurred, it took 3 whole months before I noticed any symptoms. Though then again, when I noticed them, it was when I got really like slapped in the face with some bad ones. So I'm kind of looking for them this time. So perhaps it's not surprising that I noticed them early. But this time I got symptoms about 2 weeks into tapering. It didn't take very long at all for me to start feeling bad. Also different starting points. Last time I'd been stable for like 2 years. This time I'd been stable for like a month before we jumped back in. My body probably wasn't 100% then. So I started noticing symptoms relatively quickly. And as of right now, some of the things I'm dealing with every day is muscle wasting, which basically I'm just getting weaker. Like my muscles are getting smaller. My joints are getting weaker. They can bear less load, less weight. They're easier to injury. It's also nearly impossible to build muscle. I've tried a variety of weightlifting techniques, high weights, low weights, reps, blah, 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 personal trainers, dietary stuff. But it's really challenging to build any significant muscle, and I have to exercise very, very carefully even to do that. And as this process continues, it becomes harder every day. So I'm probably about 90% cardio on my exercises, some version of cardio. I change it up as much as I can, but I can't really build muscle. And what muscle I have or had is wasting. I used to bench press about 215 pounds, and now I'm probably down to about, oh God, safely, like really safely, maybe 145, maybe 135, so that's pretty rough. It gives you an idea of how much muscle has gone. I've got mild nerve pain in various parts of my body, primarily my shoulders for whatever reason, but a little bit all over, much more mild this time than last time. Overall, low energy levels. I just feel like I'm drained almost every day now. It used to be like every other day or once or twice a week, but as the process continues, I spend more and more time just feeling really tired. I've had irregular sleep and energy levels despite my best efforts to go to bed at a good time and sleep well. It was very easy to begin with, actually, but as the process continued, my sleep got more and more irregular. Sometimes I sleep a ton, sometimes very little. Energy levels overall low, but somewhat irregular as well. Every now and then I get a very uncomfortable energy boost. It feels like a manic episode, as if I were bipolar, which we tested for that. That's not the case. And I just have so much energy. I just feel like I'm boiling, bursting. I just have to do things. I can't sleep, and that's really frustrating. The temperature intolerance has come back, but it's not quite as bad as hypothermia. Basically, right now, I'm very sensitive to being too cold or too hot, and perhaps worse than being either cold or hot is swapping back and forth, like going outside in the heat and then walking into an air-conditioned store or car, or out of the cold and into the heat just kind of really hammers me. For whatever reason, my system doesn't want to adjust to new temperatures very well, so that's frustrating. I have had mild cold shakes, so last time all my muscles would just shake and I'd drop temperature. I've had a little bit of that. I think that happened twice and it was more minor. Weird food cravings and hunger. I've been craving pickles and sweets. I don't know why. Eating more than before, but not really gaining weight. I think I'm just transforming my muscle to fat, really. I have had some of the mental confusion. It's been far more infrequent this time around. It usually comes in the form of inability to focus. I'll like just kind of struggle and my brain's not wanting to take in what I read. I feel like I'm just slightly like marijuana high for just a little bit, and I really have to just do this and like, okay, got to clear my head. And it's not the worst. It's not debilitating. It lasts about 15 minutes, but every now and then I get some pretty bad brain fog. A little bit of mild irritability as well, but not the worst. And I've had some terrible face rashes. Now I know I look beautiful here, right? Don't I look beautiful? But I have been working really hard to keep this face under control. There have been a couple of days where I didn't record or didn't stream because my whole face was red. I had some rashes in here and up here and here and here and here and here and other places on my body. One of the side effects of low testosterone is your skin moisture levels. So as that declines, it can get really dry and rashy and achy. So I've been working really hard to keep that under control. Barely managing that one, but it is happening. So as you can tell, I feel rough more often than not these days. I feel like a whiner. I feel like I complain about this a lot, but I've basically been on and off suffering for 6 months now, with these last couple being more challenging. Most days are hard on me, at least in one unusual way or another. While not one of these things individually was likely to just kind of completely debilitate me, a combination of them can be very weird and very hard to deal with, and I don't know which one I'm going to be dealing with on any particular day. And it is obvious that this is affecting the channel as well. You've seen a lot less in depth because I'm not mentally there and motivated for it and mentally clear all the time. I'm posting less content because I'm feeling crappy all the time. My motivation to work on new content is rock bottom when I spend maybe I don't know, 2/3 of my time just feeling like doo-doo butter. And you may have noticed in the videos, my ability to aim is slowly declining, or at least wildly inconsistent. When the days that I'm feeling awake and good, it's pretty good, but a lot of times I'm very much so struggling to track my targets. Mood on streams is struggling. I admit I may have been a sourpuss here and there. I'm kind of trying really hard to keep it together for camera. When this initially started, I just wasn't streaming or recording. Anytime I felt bad, it was like a day off, but now it's the majority of the days, and I can't take the majority of my days off, so I'm trying to do some big boy suck it up, get it together, put on a happy face while you record, and do that. Then I spend a fair bit of time resting, laying down, too sick to work, that kind of stuff. So it is hurting the content on the channel. It's harder for me to produce content like this. I am blessed to have a lovely support staff of a variety of people for editing and thumbnails, and a wife and friends and all people that are helping me, but it's still a difficult thing to do when my uptime is so small on any given day. In the very near future, content may slow down to a lot less than what it is now, which is a little bit embarrassing because you may have noticed that instead of making a video every single day, like I've mostly done for the last 11 years, good God, I'm a boomer, it's like 2-3 times a week, maybe every other day, and I'm kind of not caring if videos aren't going live because, you know, feeling worse. And as this process gets worse, which it will near the time, the end of this month and the testing, it's going to slow down even more. It might be like a once a week. I may be forced to take another month or so off. This won't last forever. There will be, even if there's another 2 months off for whatever bizarre adjustment, when that's done, ideally I'll be able to come back full steam. And I know that taking off so much time is committing channel suicide, but I prefer that over committing like suicide for me, like for reals, you know. I don't want to die or to hurt myself more permanently. And while I'm unlikely to die from this, that's a bit of an exaggeration, I am in a health state where it is easy to hurt myself. I'm fragile. I'm like glass right now. I've tried to maintain a nice positive outlook and fun vibe for you all here the whole time I've been going through this process, which has been, 9 weeks, almost 10 weeks now, so a little bit over 2 months. And I think outside of that really bleak and depressing video about why I think the world is ending, which, by the way, I did make of perfectly clear mind, I think I've been able to accomplish that. I think I've been a force for good, a source of positivity, hopefully for most of you. But right now I am genuinely running out of steam. I'm not on the struggle bus. I have run the struggle bus down until the tires have worn out, and then we ground down the rims. And then I scavenged the parts of the struggle bus to build a hybrid motorcycle, deployed out of the back, and ran until there was no steam left in that. And now I'm just walking on my own. Like I'm kind of struggling in a lot of ways. So that's probably coming, but I do have some good news for you. The first bit of good news is that I knew that this was coming this time, and modifying my lifestyle to accommodate has made things far easier to deal with. As much as I'm struggling today, and as much as I'm not feeling great even right now recording this, knowing what is coming in the future allowed me to plan changes to my lifestyle such that I don't hurt myself. And I think one of the things that I did really wrong last time is that when I noticed myself getting weaker and muscle wasting, I didn't know that it was like low testosterone or pituitary or hormonal problems. And I thought, okay, I'm just being a weenie. I'm going to lift more weights. And I get weaker. And I was like, you know, I'm going to eat more protein and lift even more weights and work out harder. And I was just tearing my muscles and joints and nerves all up faster than they could ever repair because they don't even have the hormones necessary to repair. So we're avoiding a lot of that. I'm being much more careful about my temperature issues. I'm being much more careful about my eating and work-life balance and habit, being more careful not to push myself. I'm monitoring things, and just a lot of small changes in my life have made the impacts lesser. So hopefully it doesn't get too crazy, and hopefully I can, you know, maintain this lesser impact. And I'm also over the hump is the second good thing. I have done the tapering. I have done the majority of the being off the medication. And as early as next week, maybe 2 weeks later, something like that, we're going to start seeing what my body does in its very natural state. So once we learn that, then we can actually get on a treatment plan of some kind. So maybe, just maybe, by the grace of God, in less than a month, I could be on a better treatment plan than I've ever had in my life. And I don't know how long it's going to take or how hard it's going to be to go up or down to whatever level they need me at. But it should make me feel better than I have, not necessarily recently, but perhaps better than my whole life when we're treating the actual disease. So the longest haul of this. The biggest part of the struggle is over. I think it is going to be nasty at the end. I think there's going to be a little finale here that I have to struggle with, but it's really relieving to know that I'm near the end. The plan is on track, and very soon I should be getting better. Hopefully, come September, I can kind of get back to my life as normal. I can get back to uploading every day. I can be my normal self that you all know and love. Then I can just start making crazy amounts of content. Until then, I think the thing I'm going to focus on is 2 to 3 videos a week here on YouTube. I actually have a pretty decent content plan for the next week, so maybe the next week could be a little bit busier, but then after that, we're gonna have to taper off of videos of all things. Big focus on Twitter. Twitter's doing great. Love the short form content. It's a lot easier to make. And say a little prayer for me. Wish me a little bit of good luck, and I'll be back at it as soon as I possibly can. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. If you're having any of these symptoms, I encourage you to get your testosterone checked and get that pituitary gland checked. The results may surprise you. Drifter out.